This is a Breaking Now alert from Heartland News.
We begin at 5 with a live look at the state prison in Bonne Terre, Missouri, where in 1 hour, the man convicted of killing a state highway patrol sergeant is scheduled to be executed by lethal injection. Good afternoon, everyone. Lance Shockley was convicted in the murder of Sergeant Carl Dwayne Graham Jr. back in 2009. Sergeant Graham was investigating Shockley for involuntary manslaughter and leaving the scene of an accident at the time. Graham was gunned down in Carter County back in 2005. Crystal Britt is live from outside of the prison now with more details. Crystal?
Jeff, good afternoon. Lance Shockley, the 48-year-old, he is still on schedule to be executed in about an hour now. He has been behind bars for 20 years. He was in Potosi before being moved recently here to Bonne Terre, where the Missouri death chamber is located. So once again, as we recap what the story was, he was convicted in 2009 for murdering Sergeant Carl Dwayne Graham Jr. This was outside of Graham's home in Van Buren back in 2005. At the time, Graham was with the Highway Patrol and he was investigating Shockley's involvement in a deadly drunk driving crash. This case has been reviewed and upheld by multiple courts, including the Missouri and U.S. Supreme Courts. And again on Monday, Governor Kehoe denied clemency for Shockley. As we come back out here live on camera, as we are outside of the prison here in Bonne Terre, we are expecting some demonstrations. That might be something that we see here in the next 30 minutes or so. We haven't seen those yet, any protests. We also know that there will be representation from the Highway Patrol. This will be on behalf, of course, of Sergeant Graham. And again, that execution is set to begin at 6 p.m. and this would be the first execution in the state of Missouri for 2025. Live in Bonne Terre, Crystal Britt, back to you.
Crystal, thank you. Meanwhile, ahead of the execution, protesters brought their concerns to Missouri's highest office. Hannah Falcon has more.
Ahead of a scheduled execution Tuesday, I sat down with Governor Mike Kehoe to ask why he denied clemency.
We plan to go forward.
From petitions to marches to a silent protest outside the governor's office, this group fights till the last minute to halt the execution of Lance Shockley.
There's a lot of doubt that continues to persist.
Jeff Steck calls on Missouri's governor to change his mind after denying Shockley clemency Monday.
We had understood through your public pronouncements that you are pro-life. At this point, to say that you would not exercise clemency is exactly the opposite of that.
Folks in our state need to know that when you take someone's life, it's serious, but when you take someone who is a public safety member, a law enforcement officer, we just won't allow that here in the state of Missouri.
Do you think this contradicts your pro-life stance to allow an execution to go forward?
Well, I've said forever that I'm a defender of innocent life. Those young babies who had never had a chance to make any decisions that unfortunately become the victim of an abortion just out of convenience. I'll always stick up for that life as long as I'm in this office and anywhere else. I think that's much different than somebody who murdered in cold blood a law enforcement officer, a hero of our state.
Regardless of Tuesday's outcome, Stack and his fellow protesters continue to push for change to Missouri's death penalty policy.
We should be all the more wary about moving forward with capital punishment, where you can't undo a mistake. You can't undo the killing of a human being.
Shockley is set to be the 102nd execution in Missouri and first since Kehoe took office. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon, Heartland News.
Once again, another live look outside of the prison there in Bonne Terre, where we are now just under an hour until that scheduled execution of Lance Shockley. Crystal Britt will have more on Heartland News at 6.